The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
You ought to join us. We could use you.
I tried joining. Didn't work out for me.
Clegane, we're here for a reason.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 prediction video. I haven't made a video about our favorite Clegane in quite some time, so today I want to talk about Sandor Clegane, who is also known as the Hound. This character has been a fan favorite for many years. He has made one of the biggest transformations since he was first introduced, and I think we will continue to see him grow as a person next season. One thing I think many of us are anxious to see is when the Hound and Arya Stark finally reunite. We have seen a number of different characters team up over the course of 7 seasons, but one of the very best duos was when Arya and the Hound were traveling together. Since next season is the final season, we will see a lot of characters reunite, but I put this one near the very top of the list for a few different reasons. The good thing is, we should not have to wait very long for that to happen. As of right now, Arya Stark is in Winterfell with her sister Sansa and her brother Bran. The Hound is currently with Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen's party, but they are on their way to Winterfell as we speak, and they should arrive in the very first episode of the 8th season. I know me personally, I can't wait to see the look on Arya's face when she realizes Sandor Clegane is still alive. As we all know, Arya Stark used to hate him and she even left him to die, but when she started to train at the House of Black and White, we found out that Arya no longer wanted him dead. At one point in time, he was on her list. But after they spent enough time together, Arya started to realize who he truly was and why he would do the things that he did. I actually think Arya will be very happy to see that the Hound is still alive, and it should be interesting to see how the Hound reacts when he realizes just how good of a fighter Arya has turned into. Now that the Night King is bringing his entire army south, you can almost guarantee some of our favorite characters will die next season, which kinda sucks. But the good thing is, this has made almost everyone team up with one another in order to survive the winter. Characters that used to hate each other will now be fighting side by side, which should be very interesting to see. The Hound and Brienne of Tarth have basically already buried the hatchet. They know they both have to put aside their past beef for the good of the realm. Not to mention, both of them now realize they were both just trying to protect Arya Stark.
Thought you were dead.
Not yet. You came pretty close.
I was only trying to protect her.
You and me both.
She's alive. Arya.
Now that all of these characters will be in Winterfell next season, there is a very good chance that we can see them all fighting side by side, protecting one another. Even though Brienne of Tarth nearly killed the Hound and Arya left him for dead, we could actually see the Hound save one of their lives during the battle against the army of the dead, or vice versa. Arya Stark or Brienne could end up saving the Hound. That would be a crazy turn of events. It would be very similar to what happened between the Hound and Bronn. Right before the Battle of Blackwater Bay, these two men were ready to kill each other, but when the battle broke out, Bronn actually ended up saving him during all the chaos. If something like this happened, it would be a nice reminder that maybe they need each other more than they think. They would certainly get a hell of a lot more done if they would work together instead of as enemies. We should also continue to see that type of theme play out for the remainder of the series. Most of them already started to realize this when they went out beyond the wall to capture the White. Most of these men were enemies at one time or another, but now that everyone's life hangs in the balance, it's time to put all that bullshit aside and stick together. You know what they say, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. This goes for everyone. Now that the army of the dead is knocking on their back door, they now have to depend on one another to survive what is coming their way. Now when it comes to Sandor Clegane, it seems as if he still has a part to play.
I don't know. What matters, I believe, is that there's something greater than us. And whatever it is, it's got plans for Sandor Clegane.
Good and bad, young and old. The things we're fighting will destroy them all alike. You can still help a lot more than you've harmed Clegane. It's not too late for you.
The Lord of Light, or some other higher power, kept him alive for a very good reason. I happen to think he will step up and do something big next season. I think his life was spared so that he could save someone else. We did see Thoros of Myr step in front of the bear to save him when they were beyond the wall, and the Hound may repay that debt by doing that for someone else next season. Could he do something like this for Arya Stark, or even Brienne of Tarth? Maybe. The only difference is, I don't think he needs to die in order to do this. For some reason, I just have a feeling that he will survive the whole series. Like I said in a previous video before, the Hound falls under the cripples, bastards, and broken things category. These are the type of characters I think make it until the bitter end. They weren't expected to do much or even make it very far in life when they were first introduced, but now the fate of the entire realm depends on these forgotten soldiers. The cripples, bastards, and broken things are now on the front line of defense against the Night King. They have now become the most important characters in the story, and in my opinion, the Hound is one of those characters. Regardless of what people think of him as a person, Jon is very lucky to have him on his team because the Hound is one of the greatest fighters in Westeros, and his battle experience will shine at its brightest next season. Now, I know Jon will provide everyone with dragonglass weapons before the Night King arrives, but deep down I am hoping that the Hound can somehow get his hands on some Valyrian steel. This is the first time in the history of the story that all of the Valyrian steel weapons will be in the same place at the same time. Like most things in this story, this is not a coincidence. As of right now, Arya Stark has the Valyrian steel dagger, which was given to her by her brother Bran Stark. She will continue to use that weapon, along with her sword Needle. Brienne of Tarth still has her Valyrian steel sword Oathkeeper, which was given to her by Jaime Lannister. These precious weapons have been passed around quite a few times over the course of the series. There are a few other Valyrian steel swords that could possibly change hands next season, and if they do, hopefully the Hound is able to use one before all the fighting is done. Many people believe Jon Snow will ride a dragon next season. If Jon would happen to ride Rhaegal, he technically would not need his sword when he's flying around in the sky, using the dragon fire as his weapon. He could let someone else use his sword when he's on the dragon. He doesn't have to give it away, he can just let them use it when he's on Rhaegal. Samwell Tarly also has his father's Valyrian steel sword Heartsbane. Now, as we all know, Sam is not a very good fighter. Sure, he's killed a Thenn before, and he's even killed a White Walker, but he kinda got lucky both times. I'm assuming Sam will spend most of his time with Bran Stark next season. These two characters will attempt to find the answers to defeating the Night King. Now, I will say Sam could get lucky again and kill another White Walker with Heartsbane, but if he was smart, which we all know he is, he should let a more experienced fighter carry that sword into battle. The Hound could do a hell of a lot more damage if he had that sword, and everyone knows this. In a different video, I said Sam could let Jorah Mormont use the sword, since Sam and Jorah have already started to build a relationship with one another. If Sam would let someone else carry the sword into battle, he would most likely choose someone he already knows. But there is always that outside chance that the Hound could get it too. There is one other character on his way to Winterfell who also happens to have a Valyrian steel sword. That is Jaime Lannister, who now has Widow's Wail, the other half of Ned Stark's sword Ice. Jaime did take the sword into battle when he had to fight against the Dothraki, and now he's bringing it with him to the north. Now, it's no secret, Jaime is no longer the badass that he once was. In fact, he can barely defend himself. Even when Jaime did have both of his hands, he still wasn't entirely sure that he could beat the Hound. Now that he is handicapped, he doesn't stand even the slightest chance. So maybe he should let the Hound use that sword instead. A lot more work could get done if the swords were in the right hands. Like I said, I know there is plenty of dragonglass, but those are mostly daggers. A swordsman like the Hound needs a sword in his hand, not a dagger or hammer. Give him a Valyrian steel sword and you will see those White Walkers start dropping like flies. Jaime Lannister already gave one Valyrian steel sword to a much better fighter, and I would not be surprised if he did it again. Not to mention, Jaime knows that Valyrian steel does not belong to him. It belongs in the north. I have a pretty good feeling that when it's all said and done, Jaime will do the right thing with that second sword. Now, assuming the Night King is defeated, there is still one other thing that the Hound must do before he can rest. I have said it once, and I will say it again. Before the series comes to an end, we need to see the ultimate showdown between Sandor and Gregor Clegane. This was set up in the very first season of the show, and for some reason, many people believe that if that happens, it's just fan service, but I disagree. It seems pretty clear to me that this was always meant to be a part of the Hound's character arc. He even told his brother during the meeting at the Dragon Pit.
It's not how it ends for you, brother. You know who's coming for you. You've always known.
I happen to believe this is their destiny. The hatred the Hound has for his brother has kept him alive.
Hate's as good a thing as any to keep a person going. Better than most. We come across my brother. Maybe we can both cross a name off a list.
I reckoned you were gonna die by the time I loaded you on the wagon, but you didn't. Now, I reckon you'd die a dozen more times over the next few days, but you didn't. What kept you going?
Hate.
It would be a crime against humanity if anyone else but the Hound was the one to put him out of his misery. When the Hound is finally able to face his brother one last time, he will deliver justice. Not only to himself for what his brother had done to him, but also to all of the people the Mountain has tortured, raped, and murdered over the past couple decades. He would also be bringing justice to the rest of his family. It wasn't just the Hound who suffered his brother's vicious attacks, but almost anyone he ever came across. In one of Ned Stark's chapters, we find out just how sick and twisted the Mountain really is. In Ned's chapter, it says, Ned seldom put much stock in gossip, but the things said of Sir Gregor were more than ominous. He was soon to be married for the third time, and one heard the dark whisperings about the deaths of his first two wives. It was said that his keep was a grim place where servants disappeared unaccountably and even the dogs were afraid to enter the hall. And there had been a sister who died young under queer circumstances, and the fire that had disfigured his brother, and the hunting accident that had killed their father. Gregor inherited the keep, the gold, and the family estates. His younger brother Sandor had left the same day to take service with the Lannisters as a sworn sword, and it was said that he had never returned, not even to visit. The Hound's hatred runs deep for his brother, not just because he burned his face, but also because he killed their sister and father. Even the damn dogs were afraid of him. It has to be the Hound who kills him. In my opinion, it cannot be anyone else. This is one of the many reasons why I do not think he will die when fighting the Night King and his army, because he needs to live long enough to face his brother one last time. But like I said, he doesn't have to die fighting his brother either. There is one other thing that I think the Hound can do, and it also has something to do with Sansa, Arya, and Brienne of Tarth. Think of this as a teaser for my next video. I wanted to make this one first as sort of a setup for another prediction I have for Sandor Clegane. So make sure you tune in to my next video to find out what that is. I think this is a good place to end the video for now. If you would like to enter the giveaway for your chance to win George R.R. Martin's new book, Fire and Blood, click on the link that is in the description of the video. Good luck, and thank you all for watching, and I also want to give a special thanks to everyone supporting the channel on Patreon. Have a great day everyone, I will see you again very soon. Bye.